I think this is live. Yes, it is. So again, our next presentation, we've got CallFinder. What you don't hear can hurt you. How reactive QA and coaching are failing contact centers. We've got Laura Noonan, CRO, with CallFinder, and Dan Sorrell, CTO from CallFinder as well. So take it away, guys.
Thank you, John. I'm usually a hand talker, so I'm going to try not to move the mic as best I can. Welcome, everyone. I think it's been a great day today. Do you all agree? Yes? Excellent, excellent. Well, it's CallFinder's third consecutive year here at NECCF. And it's been great seeing some familiar faces and meeting a lot of new faces. For those of you we've not had a chance to connect with, Dan and myself will be taking you through the true costs of managing a QA program manually and the reactive coaching that results from that. So before we go into it, we are going to have an audience participation activity to get you engaged. And before that, though, we do like to poll the contact center professionals in events like this. How many of you are continuing to review your calls manually, scoring them manually? Can I see a show of hands? Okay. At least half the room, I would say, Dan?
I would say maybe most of the room.
Most of the room. Very good. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So, actually, I want to stay there. So when you're reviewing calls manually, even to review a single call is time consuming, as many of you now know, right? So a single call usually takes 3 to 4 times as many minutes as the call length itself. To listen to it end to end, to score it, never mind coaching to it, right? So what that means is what you see on the left, you're only able to review 1 to 2% of the interactions happening inside your contact center. And what that in turn means is you're missing 98 to 99% of the data that is contained in all those conversations happening in the contact center. So what do we think about that? Well, how can it hurt you, right? We're saying this can hurt you. Well, it can hurt you in form of missed revenue opportunities, missed retention opportunities, compliance infractions, brand reputation, right? So if we're not being proactive, ultimately not listening to 100% of these interactions, we're missing money. Revenue opportunities are being missed. Money is being missed. And so we're excited to show you a better way. And I think, Dan, you have something to take through the audience with in terms of putting this all together.
Yeah. Thanks, Laura. So Sam ran around earlier, and I think he gave most of you ping pong balls. All right, at least hopefully you all have some. So we're going to play a game. I'm going to play the role of Connor Davis. Going to be an agent in one of your call centers. And so let's just go ahead. Does the person with the yellow ball, it's like yellow, orange, could you stand up or at least wave a hand? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I remember this call. Okay. Wasn't doing my best that day. I came off a bad call. This person called up about some products that we had, and they started going right into pricing, right into competitor mentions. And, I missed talking about our warranty. I missed, trying to push for getting an appointment scheduled. Needless to say, I was off my game, and that's why that call it didn't score very well. It only scored like a 60%. Okay. Now, how about the person with the green ball? Person with the green, right next, okay, wow. Why can't they all be like this call, right? That was great. I was on fire on that call. I was a ninja, came in, customer service, just went out with my team, had a great tiramisu at lunch, came back. Everything fell into place on this call, right? And we were laughing, we were carrying on, and I even closed the call in under my average handle time. Okay. Now, what about the red ball? Come on. Of course, you had to find that call. Just sat down at my desk, first thing in the morning, first call of the day, and that customer just went up one side of me and then down the other, laying into me about some service charge that we were not authorized to make, I wasn't rude, okay? But I did get a little edgy on it, and before I even had a chance to do anything, customer hung up on me, nothing I could do. Okay. Now what about the white balls? Let's see if raise a hand of who has white balls out there. Yeah. The white balls represent all of the calls in your call center that your QA doesn't have time to review and that you have no idea what's going on in your calls. So I got to ask, and me, Connor, am I a green call, am I an orange call, or am I a red call? Laura, there's got to be a better way.
There's a better way. So here's a little screenshot of what can be, right? So we pulled 3 calls for Connor Davis. This is typically what we find with our clients that move over to CallFinder. They're pulling 3 to 5 calls per agent per month, right? Then we got a good call, a bad call, and an in-between. But we don't really know, right, what are Connor's true habits and behaviors across all of his calls. So what you see here is an example of where CallFinder clients often can start their day to formulate what are the training and coaching plans that they need to implement based on complete data. So with CallFinder, every single call is automatically scored, customized to each client's rubric. So the criteria you see across are custom per client. But what you are able to then see is this is over 10,000 calls for the period in May, in this sample, that are automatically scored. The very top line, you're able to see your overall trend for the team, key areas that need attention for that entire team. But then you can see below, agent by agent, where are people needing support? What areas are they strong? What areas do they need attention? So this is really quite a game changer in once you have this full, complete data. And like we say, it makes you proactive in terms of delivering coaching where it needs to be spent. So here's another view, thinking about these balls that we were just taking ourselves through with Connor Davis. Here's Connor Davis. Now we know there are no white balls because they've all been scored. Now we can see, yes, there's a red, there's a yellow, but there's a lot of green. Connor trends mostly toward the green, which is great news. At the same time, we have an opportunity here to see where we can help him improve. So now we know directionally where we need to apply our efforts. So why are we doing all of these call recordings, right, to coach? So Dan, take us through a little bit more about once we have this full picture, this holistic view of trends and patterns, what do we do now in order to deliver the coaching?
So in the world of call center QA, we talk a lot about sentiment and scoring, and we talk about emotion, silence over talk, all of those types of things. But those are just metrics, right? These are things that we look at for the agent. But when you think about what your companies are looking for, right? They're looking for higher sales numbers, better CSAT scores, lower churn. That's what senior management really cares about, right? And so technology has been moving incredibly fast over the past few years for call centers. I mean, it's evident walking down that hallway over there. And there's a lot of focus on automation, a lot of focus on lowering average handle times. And there's a lot of different tools on your websites that you have, chatbots to answer a lot of the kind of easier questions, things like that, or the less hard stuff. But when someone calls your call center, right, that call matters. When they get through and talk to a human, that's an important call. As Laura put it, they're typically a form of currency because a lot of times they represent revenue either gained or lost. Okay, so, and then on top of that, for a lot of you, your agents may be the only humans that ever interact with your customer base. So in a lot of ways, your agents are your brand as well. They represent your company. Okay, so we've got calls are now a form of currency. You're saddled with dealing with things like higher sales numbers and your customer churn. And on top of that, your agents are your brand. That means that coaching and training your agents is absolutely critical to the success of your business. So at CallFinder, we take a different approach to coaching and training. It really comes back to what the goals of your company are. So as here, we're going to pick on Connor again. You can see Connor's doing really good on his CSAT scores, doing great on silence and overtalk, but hurting a little bit on the sales side, right? So on this screen, kind of look at, I'm sure you can all read this text perfectly. But we've got guidance session notes. We can keep track of the different things that Connor's been asked to work on. We can talk, we can see he's interrupting people with frequent interruptions. That's not good, right? And then we got a task list. We can keep track of all of the different things we've assigned to Connor and kind of the state of where they're at. But let's take a look on the right. On the right, these are calls that CallFinder has gone ahead and picked out for you. These are the calls that go back to your goals, the things that you care about. These are the calls that you should be reviewing. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at let's take a look at that sales one at the top. Now I know this slide is a little overwhelming. This picture is a little overwhelming. But this gives you everything you need to review a phone call and everything you need to know about it. Yeah, you can listen to the call. You can read the transcript on the left. You can see that we have that scoring in the middle. Laura talked about it earlier. Nothing is templatized. Everything is built specific for you and your business toward your goals. But let's take a look at that right. That right slide view over there, that is the recommendations that CallFinder has come up for you. So let's take a closer look at this. So zoomed in a little bit, we can see that Connor needs some help here. He's not coming up with the key differences on these sales calls. He's missing things like talking about warranties, he's insurance, and specifically, we've even targeted that he's missing the opportunity to make scheduling appointments. That's a very critical role or a component in this process. So as you can see, at this moment, CallFinder has found the right call to coach, delivered the right information to your agent for them to review. But I lost my slides. I'll keep going. So right information. And so at this point, you have options. You can just send this to Connor. You could say, hey, go ahead. Have at it, review the call. You can modify it. You could say, you know what, I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I'm going to attach some of my training materials to it. Or you can say, you know what, I'm smarter than AI. I know what's best for Connor. And then you can go ahead and put in what you need to and send it along to him. It really doesn't matter what you choose. CallFinder learns from it. And we grow from it, and then that goes into the next recommendations that we're going to give to Connor. Okay. So what we found from analyzing phone calls over all these years is just like analyzing phone calls, no two coaching or training opportunities are the same. Every company that we work with deals in different ways of training and coaching. Sometimes it's you just send it to them. Sometimes it's a one-on-one. Sometimes there could be 2, 3. I think we even have one client that is like 4 people have to review the call before it goes to the agent. Or if you don't even send it to the agent at all. And so what we find is, just like analyzing the phone calls, we built CallFinder to work with your coaching and with your training. You don't need to change for us. You don't need to uproot for us. But you may ask us from time to time, well, what should I be looking at? What should I be training on? What should I be doing? This, yet again, is another spot where CallFinder comes in. Our expert speech analysts, are always there to help and to guide you through this. And this comes from, we've been in business, we've been analyzing calls for well over 10 years at this point. We work with contact centers of different sizes, different shapes. We work with, help me out, financial collections. We work with healthcare. Of all different sizes, 5, 10 agents all the way up to 500, 600 agents. So I know, it all sounds too good to be true, right? But I gotta ask, Laura, does it work?
Yes, it works. It works really well. And sticking with the theme of every conversation, imagining every conversation is a form of currency, right? It is the face of your company. It's sometimes, as Dan said, the only interaction these agents are having with customers might be the only interaction they ever have with the brand. So every interaction really is critical. So one client we've been supporting for many years, and close to 7 years now, is Kohler, very recognizable name. We support them specifically with a bathtub product that they offer. And with CallFinder, they've had some tremendous results. They were very focused on their training programs and tying behaviors to the training programs. So as you can see, some pretty impressive results. Ultimately, For Kohler, when their agents are talking to callers, their mission is to schedule them for an in-home consultation and set an appointment. So in using this platform and having every single interaction analyzed for coaching, they were able to increase their conversion to in-home appointments by a full 50%, which in turn delivered them a 30% increase in their bath sales. So as Neil shared with us, they found a very specific phrase was critical in this increase in set rates of, again, a little bit of this empathy. I'm sorry that you're going through these challenges. I think you did the right thing by calling us. That simple phrase right there had a huge impact. They were able to isolate and roll that out to their entire team. He also added, our brand image in the marketplace is really important to us. It's something we constantly analyze and look at. So that's one story on the theme. And another one, again, conversations being currency. Methodist Health System's also another client that we've been supporting. They're a hospital system in Texas. They're very focused on taking their manual QA process out of their collections team and automating it. So again, impressive results. They achieved a 25% increase in their kept payments and ultimately started collecting $150,000 more a month. And Mitch Taylor, he really attributed a lot of that to the fact that they used CallFinder to help their agents focus on empathy. Because in this case, they're collecting from their patients. And the Methodist brand is important to them, and their care of their patients in clinic all the way to payment is very, very important to them. So tremendous results. I didn't start my watch, so I don't know what the time check is.
I think we got about 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay, perfect. So we have a short wrap-up, and actually a few things more about CallFinder. So CallFinder has been designed to be platform agnostic. So it does not disrupt any of your existing systems. We simply work from a copy of the recorded interaction post-call, usually through a simple API connection. So any platform is workable for us. No changes made on anyone's infrastructure client side. The other surprising thing people have a hard time believing, but it is true, is this is not a project. This gets spun up in about 4 to 6 weeks. There is no IT burden on the client side because we take on that work. And every one of our clients, as I said, it's very highly customized because every contact center is truly different. So every CallFinder client is assigned an analyst for the life of the account. And they also get the benefit of all the best practices that we've collected through each of the respective industries that we support. And it's truly a good experience from the beginning all the way through, because these contact centers are always facing changes. So the software needs to be nimble and dynamic for the life of the use of it. So we were going to invite one of our senior analysts up front with us. I guess we'll share the mic, Sam Peterson, to help us field any questions that folks might have. And we really do encourage the questions. I know we've not been able to meet with everyone yet today. So thank you very much. Let's hear some questions. Yes, Chip Road.
How does it fit into the system? Do you fold it onto the CRM? How does CallFinder fit into the scheme of things? Do you bolt it onto the CRM? Do you build it? How does it work? Is it a cloud-based?
Great question. So it is completely cloud-based. It is a light touch solution. And in other words, we're not integrating with many of the platforms. We ingest a copy of the call recording, and maybe Dan should help field this. We're ingesting a copy of the call recording through an API handshake, typically through another cloud platform where the recordings are stored. So we're not in the call flow. There's no changes to existing infrastructure. And so all of these analytics are just available through a web login on the CallFinder solution, hosted in the cloud. And everything is also exportable. So many of our clients want this rich data for long periods of time, so they're having us push it to their CRMs, absolutely easy to do, or a BI tool to do more manipulation with other sets of data that they might have. But it's a very light touch in terms of infiltrating any client systems, if that makes sense. you have anything to add on that, Dan?
No, great job, Laura. You
Oh,
nailed
okay.
it.
Any question for our analyst who serves many different types of clients? I should have mentioned, we have clients as small as, say, 5 people on phones in their contact center and upwards of, over 500 agents on phones. The experience is similar. We don't really diminish the functionality for a small environment, and we truly believe the smaller contact centers need this type of relief. You shouldn't have to struggle with manual QA and data gaps just because you have under 100 agents. So we're happy to support those formats. And Sam has great experience in supporting a large gamut of types of contact centers.
Well, I think we're about at time. You're going to kick us off.
Hi, everybody.
All right.
All set? Oh,
All
question?
right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Currently, we're English, Spanish, and French Canadian because we're based up in Vermont. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I'd like to thank the folks at CallFinder. Thank you very much for a great presentation. I'm going to turn it over to John here for an update on some of the prizes and what's going on with the CVENDOR app.
Thank you so much. Great stuff. And thanks for the mention about the range of call centers, because I think that's one of the things that we really try to make sure we accommodate is, in many cases, and we always talk about this, smaller call centers a lot harder to manage in many ways than a large one. So great to have that perspective and to be offering your services to that range. So just a quick update. I think this is Clelia Lavoie is at 3,730 points. Wow. Alex Kirk right behind at 3,580. And then Stacy Connolly at 3,055 points. So things are heating up, and those autograph photos are fantastic. I also have a couple gift cards to give away, and this is for folks who've been good about filling out the CVent surveys after the presentations. Lucia de Cruz, Simply Safe, and also Margaret Nelson at Avidia Bank. Thank you. And our next presentation, Mike, is coming up at? Awesome. 250 ACC Premier.